Hey guys, Phil with United Water Restoration, sitting here with my man Dave from Roberts Environmental. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
So Dave's a New York State licensed mold assessor
Right.
and asbestos inspector. And we brought him in here today because we want to cut to the heart of some frequently asked questions around mold. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself, Dave.
Absolutely. I've been in the industry for over 10 years now, doing consultations for mold, asbestos, and other types of indoor air quality. I have a 4-year degree in environmental sciences. And it just started about 2 years ago that I've owned my own company, and it's been great.
You know, we call you when things happen. We work together.
Yep.
So we have a few questions here from our clients. Can I use bleach to kill mold?
That's a common question, and to answer that, I think we should step over the whiteboard.
All right, let's do it.
Think of mold as a plant, right? You got your soil. You start a plant with burying a seed, right? Under the right conditions, the right moisture, that seed is going to root, right? Root itself into the ground. And eventually, with those right conditions, you're going to get a sprout. There's your leaf. Mold is similar. Mold starts out as a microorganism. Very small, you won't see it with the naked eye. Microorganism with the right conditions, moisture, temperature, all that, it's going to create these root systems called hyphae in a substrate. For instance, drywall, wood, any sort of material.
Is that
like
what
that.
this is? This
This
is like our building
Yep,
material?
Let's think of this as a sheet, the profile of a sheet of drywall. Okay. This is our organism of mold. These are the roots called hyphae. And as these conditions, the moisture and the temperature persist, these hyphae are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually we're going to see mold on the surface of
So this is what I see. When I'm in my room,
right.
I'm seeing this.
Exactly. As the conditions continue, these mold colonies are going to reproduce and send little spores into the air. And those spores, well, I'm going to put another piece of drywall over here. This is on the other side of your room, right? So these spores are going to land on the surface, and if the conditions are right moisture and all that, it's going to create its hyphae and eventually more mold.
So you're saying that here, like the source, it almost was, what, an outside in? And then the cross-contamination leads to like an inside out?
Correct.
That's how it spreads, even if I only had a leak in this one spot.
Exactly. Yep. And your little problem can become a big problem if you don't take care of it right away.
All right, Dave. So what happens when we spray bleach on this bad boy?
All right. So imagine this is the drywall where we had discussed the mold colony has formed and it's reproducing, sending spores in other directions. Typical DIY homeowner may think that bleach is the cure-all. Here's our bleach. You spray it on there. What the bleach does is, well, let's talk about the ingredients of bleach. It's 90% water, right? So the bleach will get rid of what's on the surface of the material, but the chlorine from that bleach evaporates pretty quickly, leaving behind that considerable amount of water. That water feeds the organism, the hyphae, the roots within the substrate still. So
I don't see it.
Right. Yep. So you've killed or eliminated what's on the surface, but that chlorine does not penetrate through the surface and it doesn't kill the root system. So long as you have a water problem or a source of moisture that's feeding this system, it's going to grow back more and more. So when you apply the bleach, right, that chlorine has eliminated everything on the surface. The leftover water is then absorbed by this hyphae root system, gets bigger,
and continues to do
and
its thing.
Oftentimes it comes back worse than it was before. So you're getting spores this way, and they're getting bigger and bigger, and they're reproducing and sending them even further, and the stage is getting bigger. And you've almost created a more hazardous problem now because you've disturbed what's already here. You have cleaned it improperly, and you're disturbing the mold spores, which allows them to become airborne. You're breathing them in. And you're dealing with bleach, which is a VOC, an irritant in itself. You're really creating a big problem here. We've got this diagram here with the hyphae system, and we've added some studs, some structural components to this diagram.
So this is the surface mold.
Right.
This is the mold that's embedded inside of my sheetrock, my drywall.
Right.
And this is the mold that's actually growing behind the wall in the cavity. So
right.
It's like a whole sandwich here.
Yeah.
So what should I do?
As a remediation process, you want to get rid of the mold, and not with bleach. You want to remove the drywall, because applying bleach or any sort of biocide to this is only going to kill what's on the surface. It's not going to kill what's inside. For sheetrock, for instance, this porous material, you have to cut away. We're cutting out this amount of drywall where we see it, and New York State standards requires that you actually go 18 inches beyond the last point of visible mold. So we're cutting 18 inches in both directions. We're exposing the wood structure, the 2x4s, the studs, and we're assessing what's going on at that point. If the 2x4s are structurally compromised, they're rotting away, you're going to want to get rid of them. If they're in decent shape still, if it's a new leak and they just have some surface mold, they can be cleaned using a biocide and then encapsulated with an EPA registered.
And that's what a standard protocol that you put together would tell us?
Yep, and then, you know, a full cleaning of the space itself too.
Okay, there you have it.